Okay, so as we try to sink back into normal life here, we are going with December 1st, 1995, Hershey, Pennsylvania. A show mostly known for the Mikes and Weekapog, along with the very fun Colonel Forbin, Famous Mockingbird. That was certainly appropriate for the region, and we got a great opener. We had a chomper closer. I had to say chomper. I don't think I said it once during the sphere run. So here we go. We are back at it. And now this is just not quite as exciting, is it? Although this was a great show at a time when there were so many great shows. I mean, it feels like that entire month is almost been officially released now. The Nutter Center show right there at the end of November. The Halloween show. That was the Who Halloween year. So late 1995. Which is crazy. Summer of 94, absolutely amazing. One of my favorite times. And then you get to late fall, winter 95 here. It's, like a whole different band, but yet still amazing. So here we are. Let's start out with Buried Alive. And again, great opener, like they have so many of them. That's why when they play a song like Soul Planet, I know I'm just starting to get a little repetitive here. And I see a little flaw. We forgot a magnet down here in the corner. Okay, I think we are ready now. Let's see, where were we? We were at the Buried Alive opener, and during those Sphere shows, I did a pretty good job of taking notes, and I don't know if you can see or not, but we have a note-free whiteboard here. But a show that I had listened to in the past and listened to again here, thanks to RiverportGin. Boom, that is not what we got here. No gin in sight, but we do have the Buried Alive opener and then into the Down with Disease, and it was almost like a little bit too fast. I mean, just a smoking Down with Disease. And then, Trey is just like, whoa, 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 back it off a little bit, man. And Fishman's like, hey, I can keep up, man. I can do that all day. Into a nearly perfect Theme from the Bottom. I love Theme from the Bottom even now, all the way up through its career. But this one right here was one of the best. So it's something I had forgotten about from this show, really. So if you're not going to have time to listen to the whole show and you think you're going to dip back in for the mics, make sure you stop and make time for the Theme from the Bottom. Fishman, again, like I said, he was completely keeping up with Trey there. Maybe a little reward for our little guy here, getting him a Poor Heart in the first set. Wolfman's brother. We got a whole Fishman theme. I'm telling you, he was on fire here early on. Trey giving him a little nod, and then Chalk Dust Torture. The only thing left, it should have been Chalk Dust and Bones at this point. That must have been the only thing left of people up front, because much like the Down with Disease, this thing was just straight, just a fire show from the beginning to end. Then we get into a really good Colonel Forbin into Mockingbird. The narration was, he was talking about the ancient Greeks and how science and religion and philosophy was all one, and then how that slowly started to change over time, and then fast forward to make a long story short, we now have a lot of cows. And with all these cows, you have a lot of milk. And what are we going to do with all this milk? Milk chocolate. Hershey, Pennsylvania, the reason for this Famous Mockingbird narration. And the Forbin, really nice. The Mockingbird, good. But there's, that song there when he's just doing the impression of a mockingbird flying around. Sometimes Trey, it gets a little dicey there. Stash coming after that, and maybe they were saving it all for the mics here. Not this was a bad stash or anything, but I was expecting much bigger things. Out of the stash, then we get the cavern opener. We also got a little bit of a forgotten lyric in Wolfman's Brother. Trey cleaned it up nicely, though, by just saying, I really love that line. I think I'll sing it again. Haley's Comet, not a lot going on to start the second set, but a good familiar song to get everybody to their seats. Maybe there was a little bit of too much hanging out at set break. Trey was like, this will get them. Everybody loves some Haley's Comet, 1995. And then here was the big one, the mics. And this was a surprisingly page-heavy mics group. Now, there was this part in the middle, maybe halfway through, a little past that, the middle or halfway, I'm not sure which. Somewhere around that 10, 11-minute mark, Trey is doing this thing. Sometimes, I just kind of want to headbang or kind of give it one of these during mics. But this one had a little bit of I don't want to say poppy or even like a Latin sound, but something, I want to almost say like a Latin pop sound. I said I didn't want to say it, but there I did it, all right? It's probably completely off, but it had that feel to it, a little hip shaking. And then it quiets back down. We get even more Page, and, and at one point you get all four guys had just figured out the jam, coming along with Page and Trey into the Weekapog, directly into a Weekapog. I believe someone commented, that it was the very first time they had ever done this. I don't know how many times they had done it since. I didn't go back and look up the stat, but it was a little odd too. Maybe it threw them off because the start to Weekapog, I'm used to that traditional just Mike bouncing in hard on the bass in the Weekapog opener. This one was just it sounded a litlittle strange to get going. Eventually, you had like a familiar Weekapog sound, I suppose, and then yeah, I don't know. It never really quite got going. I think it was the start. It needs there needs to be some peanut butter and jelly there in between the mics and Weekapog, certainly. And then we get into Mango Song. Not that Weekapog was bad. It was just a weird one, Weirdapog almost. And then the Mango Song was like, I just say, like I've said this again before recently, that like they got a lot of songs they don't play much anymore, but this one is criminally underplayed. A song that is deserving of much more stage time, if you ask me. And I think a lot of people would agree, certainly. Wilson coming in here, still a rock and roll band, of course. Wilson proving that. Boy, it's getting hot in here. We're not even on summer tour. I forgot about how hot it can get on summer tour in here. Whew. Spring recaps, man. Married man, sweating like a pig in here. All right, so then we get into this one. Now, more rewards for Fishman. A really fiery Suspicious Minds. He comes out. There's video of this on YouTube. Looks like he's dressed like he was going to be shot out of a cannon or something. The cape, the helmet. We get to hold your head up, and then they just couldn't go any faster with it. Fishman trying his best. A magnificent performance for Mr. John L.P. Fishman there. And then we get into David Bowie. Barely a David Bowie, though. Really, to me, it was Catapult. Coming off of that, technically, they did have we heard some drums to David Bowie, but then Trey starts singing Catapult. We get our Catapult, and then it swings into the David Bowie. And, yeah, you could imagine. If they're launching into a David Bowie from Catapult, it was 2 thumbs up. So it's hot on the streets. Catapult into Bowie. All right, then to Susie Greenberg. We got to get a little anthem in here to end the whole thing. Mike had his time. Now it's Susie's turn. The Wolfman's brother, Wilson. Boom. All right. So that does it. Not, like I said, not as exciting as a live show at the Sphere, but that was a nice step back into 1995. What a great month or so for the band. And boom. We are out of here. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. If you made it this far, oh, yeah, you win nothing.